What if I told you that the version of your life you have been aching for, minus the one that feels just out of reach, no matter how hard you try, minus, already exists? Not someday, not after the next sacrifice or the next breakthrough, right now. And what if the only thing standing between you and that life is not your circumstances, not your past, not your bank account, not your relationships, not the mistakes you have made, minus, but a single invisible wall built entirely from the way you have been taught to feel? Carl Jung, minus the man widely regarded as the most profound psychologist who ever lived, minus, spent his entire career studying exactly this wall. He studied it in the dreams of his patients. He studied it in the myths of ancient civilizations. He studied it in the writings of alchemists who lived centuries before him. And he came to one conclusion that modern science is only now beginning to fully confirm. The life you want is not something you build from the outside. It is something you become from the inside, and the moment your inner world shifts, your outer world has no choice but to follow. But here is where it gets even more surprising. Jung discovered that this shift does not require years of therapy. It does not require a perfect routine or a complete change of personality. It requires 4 minutes. 4 honest, deliberate minutes done with genuine feeling. I know how that sounds. Your mind is already preparing its objections. 4 minutes. That cannot be real. Real change requires real suffering. And I want you to hold that doubt, minus, because by the time this video ends, you will understand exactly why your mind resists this, and why that resistance itself is what has been keeping you stuck. Stay with me until the end. What is waiting in the final part of this video is the piece that almost no teacher ever shares, minus. And it is the piece that decides whether any of this actually works for you. Before we get into the method, we need to be honest about something. Because if you skip this part, the 4-minute practice becomes just another technique you try without really understanding it, minus, and a technique without understanding is a seed planted without soil. So let me ask you directly, how long have you been wanting the thing you want? A year, 5 years, your whole adult life? And in all that time, have you worked hard? Have you tried? Have you read the books, watched the videos, pushed through the resistance, and told yourself that this time it would be different? Most people watching this right now will say yes to all of that. And yet here you are still wanting. Jung's answer to this was not comfortable, but it was honest. He said, the problem is not your effort. It is not your intelligence or your faith. The problem is something that lives beneath all of those things. The problem is your identity, not the identity you tell people about. Not the words you use to describe yourself, but the identity that is encoded deep inside your body, minus the quiet, wordless sense of who you are that runs underneath every thought, every intention, every effort you make. Jung called this the shadow self, the hidden layer of beliefs about what you are allowed to have, what you are worthy of, and what is truly possible for someone like you. And this hidden layer is more powerful than any conscious desire you have ever felt. You can consciously want wealth while somewhere deep inside believing that money causes problems, or that you were simply not born for that kind of life, and as long as that hidden belief stays untouched, every step you take toward financial freedom will be quietly pulled back from below. This is not a flaw. This is the natural result of years of conditioning, minus conditioning you absorbed before you were old enough to question it. Jung's genius was not just in seeing this problem, it was in finding the exact way to change it. Not slowly, not through years of digging up old wounds, but through something far simpler. Through the repeated, genuine experience of feeling a different reality inside yourself. because the subconscious mind does not learn through logic. It does not respond to reasoning or willpower. It learns through feeling. It changes when it receives clear, emotionally real signals that something is true. And here is the part that changes everything. The subconscious mind cannot reliably tell the difference between something that is actually happening and something that is vividly, fully, emotionally imagined. This is not a theory. Neuroscience has confirmed it. Athletes who vividly imagine a physical movement activate nearly the same neural pathways as athletes who physically perform it. Patients who use visualization in recovery show real, measurable changes in the body. The brain responds to a fully felt imagined experience as though it is real. Jung understood this long before modern science caught up. He called it psychic reality, minus the idea that what is real in the inner world carries just as much power as anything in the outer world. This is the foundation of the 4-minute method. Now, let us move into the practice itself, not as something to understand from a distance, but as something to actually feel. The first part of the practice is about leaving the outer world behind. Find a quiet place where nothing and no one can interrupt you. It does not need to be special. A corner of your bedroom with the door closed, your parked car, a bench in a park. What matters is that you can be genuinely alone with yourself. Sit comfortably. Keep your back gently straight, not stiff, but open. Rest your hands in your lap, with your palms facing up. This is a small but real signal to your nervous system that you are open to receiving, rather than bracing for something. Now take 3 slow, full breaths. Not rushed, not forced. Breathe in slowly through your nose, letting your belly expand first, then your chest. Pause for just a moment at the top. Then breathe out completely, through your mouth, as though you are releasing something you have been carrying for a long time. With the first breath out, let go of today, minus every task, every worry, every obligation. With the second, let go of the past, minus just for now, just for these few minutes. With the third, let go of the future, minus every fear, every scenario you have been rehearsing in your mind. Let it all fall away for this brief window of time. Let your eyes gently close, not squeezed, shut, minus just softly closed. And begin moving your attention inward, the way you would walk slowly from a noisy room into a quiet one. Let the sounds fade. Let the pressure of time dissolve. Just rest here for a moment. You are now at the place Jung called the threshold, minus that soft space between full waking and something deeper, where the usual defenses of the mind begin to loosen. This is where real work becomes possible. Now bring forward the reality you want, but do not look at it from the outside, the way you might watch something on a screen. You are not watching this, you are living inside it. Ask yourself the question Jung believed was the most powerful question a person could ask. If my desire were already fulfilled right now, in this exact moment, what would I feel? Do not rush toward an answer. Do not look for words. Let your body respond before your mind does. Let the feeling arrive before the explanation does. If your desire is financial freedom, imagine you have just received confirmation that every debt is gone. The account is full. The pressure that has lived in your chest for so long that you forgot it was not always there, minus, is finally completely gone. What does that silence feel like? What happens to your shoulders when they no longer carry that weight? What does your breath feel like when there is nothing in the way? Let that lightness move through your entire body, from your chest to your fingertips to the soles of your feet. If your desire is love, imagine it is a quiet evening. You are with the person who loves you, minus not performing, not watching yourself, just fully present. They reach for your hand, you feel the warmth of their palm against yours. Your eyes meet, and there is no fear in it, no question, no holding back. Only the deep, settled feeling of being truly seen and genuinely chosen. Let that feeling settle into your body, not as something you are creating, but as something you are finally remembering. If your desire is a creative or professional achievement, work is done. You are standing inside the moment you once imagined from far away, and it is exactly as meaningful as you always knew it would be. Feel the texture of that moment in your body, the exhale, the quiet satisfaction, the knowing that you trusted something real and it brought you somewhere real. For 3 full minutes, live inside that scene, not as an observer, but as a person who actually lives there. Breathe its air, hear its sounds, feel it in your skin, and let this simple truth settle through you without forcing it. This is already mine. This has already happened in the place that matters most. I am living it now. Do not push for emotion. Do not manufacture excitement or tears that are not genuinely there. Forced feeling is a performance, and the subconscious knows the difference. What you are looking for is something quieter, the calm, deep knowing of something that is simply true, like the feeling of arriving home, like the feeling of a long question finally answered, settled, real already done. Now I need to tell you about 3 mistakes that quietly destroy this practice for almost everyone who tries it. If you are not aware of them, you will make them without realizing, and you will decide the method does not work when really these hidden errors were pulling it apart from the inside. The first mistake is practicing from lack. The most common error is trying to feel abundance while feeling scarcity underneath, trying to feel loved while loneliness is the real signal running in the background, trying to feel successful while fear is the actual dominant emotion. If your practice is really just you desperately trying to convince yourself of something you do not believe, nothing is changing. You are performing on the surface while the real signal stays the same underneath. The solution is not to try harder. The solution is to start smaller. If feeling completely financially free feels like too big a jump, start with the feeling of simply having enough today. If feeling deeply loved feels too far, start with the feeling of being at peace with yourself. Start at the edge of what you can genuinely feel even for 30 seconds. And let that honest feeling be the seed. The second mistake is analyzing while you are in the middle of it. The moment you step out of the feeling to ask yourself, is this working? Am I doing this right? Do I actually believe this? You have left the state. You have returned to the doubting, questioning mind, which is exactly the part of you that needs to step aside for this to work. Your only job during those 4 minutes is to be inside the experience, not to evaluate it, not to judge it, not to monitor it, just to be inside it. Save all the analysis for afterward. The third mistake is immediately collapsing back into the old self. People practice well, they genuinely feel something shift inside and then they open their eyes, pick up their phone, scroll through stressful news, and within minutes have completely overwritten what they built. The practice does not end when the 4 minutes end. The inner state you create is fragile at first, and your job in the hours that follow is to protect it. Not perfectly life will always pull you toward old habits, but with awareness, with the understanding that what you built in those minutes is worth taking care of. There is one part of this practice that Jung spoke about with real urgency, and that almost no modern teacher bothers to mention: the importance of staying silent about what you are working toward. Every desire you hold in its early stages is like a small flame. Given the right conditions, it grows into something that cannot be put out. But expose it too early to someone who carries doubt, or fear, or their own beliefs about what is and is not possible, and it goes out before it ever had the chance to become real. And modern psychology actually confirms this in a surprising way. When you tell someone about a goal you are working toward, and they respond with excitement and encouragement, your brain releases dopamine, minus the same chemical it releases when you actually achieve something. The brain in that moment registers the goal as partially done, and the inner tension, the productive pressure that drives you to actually do the work, minus quietly releases. You feel a brief sense of having already succeeded. And then you do not follow through. Not from laziness, but because the reward has already been partially delivered without the effort. Jung put it simply, power works in silence. A seed that announces itself before it has broken through the soil has already spent the energy needed to grow. Protect what you are building, not out of fear or secrecy, but out of wisdom. You do not owe anyone a progress report on the inner work you are doing. The world will see the result when the result is strong enough to be seen. Now we come to the final and most important teaching, the principle Jung called beginning from the end. Stop moving through your life from the feeling of not yet having what you want, looking ahead toward it. Instead, move through your life from the feeling of already having it, looking back. This sounds like a small change. It is not. It is a complete shift in the inner posture from which you live every day. Most people wake up and immediately feel the gap, the distance between where they are and where they want to be. And from that feeling of distance, they try, they push, they strive, they work, minus all from the underlying sense of, I do not yet have this. And because the world reflects back what you are genuinely feeling rather than what you are consciously saying, it gives back more distance, more gap, more not yet. But when you begin from the end, minus when you carry, even for just a few genuine minutes a day, the felt sense of already having arrived, minus what you put out, changes, and the world begins reflecting something different back. This is not magical thinking. This is simply how identity shapes what you notice, how what you notice shapes what you do, and how what you do shapes what your life becomes. A person who genuinely feels financially at ease makes different small decisions all day long than a person who feels financially desperate, minus even if their outer circumstances are identical in this moment, over months and years. Those different small decisions add up to entirely different lives. And even before the decisions change, perception changes. You begin noticing things that were always there, but invisible to you while you were operating from lack. You begin responding to people differently. You begin drawing toward you the conversations, the opportunities, the moments that match what you are actually emitting, rather than what you are merely wishing for. This is what Jung called synchronicity. Not coincidence, not luck. The visible surface of a simple and consistent law, that your inner state and your outer reality are not two separate things. They are one system, and it always moves together. Tonight, before you sleep, minus in those last minutes, when the analytical mind grows quiet and something deeper opens, minus close your eyes and come home to this practice. Breathe slowly. Let everything go. Step inside. Feel your desire as already yours, minus, not as something you are watching from a distance, but as something you are living from within. Let your body remember what it feels like to be free, to be loved, to be whole, and then let this feeling settle through you quietly from a place of genuine truth rather than desperate wishing. Thank you, not as a plea, as a recognition, as the quiet acknowledgement that what you called for has already answered, minus in the only place where everything real begins. Inside you, you are not practicing hope. You are practicing truth. You are not rehearsing a future. You are inhabiting a present that has simply not yet become fully visible. And that is the difference between a life spent waiting for things to change and a life spent being the change itself. 4 minutes, every day, with honest feeling, that is all it takes. If something in this has opened something real in you, share it with someone who is ready to stop waiting and start creating. Subscribe for more content that goes beneath the surface of how we think, feel, and build the lives we are here to live. The power was always there. It was always yours. Today, you simply remembered where it lives.